Tagumpay, greetings from the city of Tagum. We are pleased to welcome you to this virtual presentation of the Palm City of the Philippines. I am your moderator, Louis Brian Lapat, one of the information officers of the city government of Tagum. We're live here at the audiovisual room of the City Hall of Tagum, socially distanced, if I may emphasize, and are all very excited to present before the virtual participants the Tagumpay City Walk project. Joining me here this afternoon are the very people who have spent the last 3 years, along with the technical working group, in conceptualizing the Tagumpay City Walk project. We have Mayor Alan Lopez Relion, City Planning and Development Coordinator Arturo Manigo Jr., City Architect Luella May Apurada, and Ms. Sharon Alvarado of the City Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office. The four of them will elucidate with us their thoughts about this very ambitious project. But I think it is but right and proper that we begin this virtual presentation by giving you a bird's eye view, or shall I say, an eagle's eye view of what the Tagumpay City Walk is all about. Let us all watch this.
Tagum is one of the partner cities of the Building Climate Resiliency through urban plans and designs. The city has been charting a path towards being a regional hub for businesses and settlements, but perennial flooding and urban heat could stand in its way.
We saw this as a golden opportunity to be at par with the international standards in terms of urban design from lens of climate resiliency.
Flooding and strong typhoons disrupt the flow of goods and services. Of equal importance is the impact of rising temperatures.
Offices of the city government have been capacitated in the formulation of climate science-based approach. This forms part of our planning process and help our decision makers in the formulation of our annual investment plan.
The city developed its local climate action plan with a portfolio of urban design interventions across the city's ecosystem. Located in its prominent city centers, Barangay Magugpo Poblacion and Magugpo South are highly at risk to climate change, and if not addressed, the city can lose more than 1 billion pesos.
We have undergone a series of workshops, trainings, and data gathering, including the site visit and consultations on the residents who will benefit from the program.
Karon nga nakadungog mi sa project sa gobyerno nga ilang himuha at anuman og mga kahoy dinhi gikalipay gyud namo og dako nga mga ambulance vendor.
Planning, designing, and managing how Tagum's built environment develops is key, especially since majority of the city's villages are urbanizing fast. Mainstreaming climate resilience enables small and medium enterprises and livelihoods to flourish amid impending climate impacts. Tagum's planned design interventions include the use of functional open spaces, promoting low-carbon mobility to decrease carbon emission and avoid urban heat. Public parks will also be enabled to capture flood and rainwater that can be repurposed for the city's use, but also for small and medium enterprises to stave off the effects of increasing temperatures. Through this, the city aims to achieve its long-term development vision in a climate and disaster-resilient environment.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the Tagumpay City Walk project in a nutshell. I know all of our virtual participants in this forum are already curious about the nitty-gritty of this very notable project. But this presentation, ladies and gentlemen, will not be complete without listening to our local chief executive, who shall explain and later sell the Tagumpay City Walk project. Here now is the City Mayor of Tagum, Mayor Alan Lopez Rellion.
Thank you, Loie. To my fellow mayors, particularly my friend, Mayor Rosal of Legazpi City, Mayor Uy, and Mayor Yulo, and the rest of the mayors viewing now, and the country manager of UN Habitat, Chris Rolio, from the International Climate Initiative, Ma'am Ana Catharina Pope, the Executive Director of the League of Cities of the Philippines, Attorney Gail, from the Department of Finance, Asik Lambino and Asik Alvarez, from the Department of Budget and Management, Yusik Humilia, from the PCUP, Commissioner Baloro, and especially mention our UN Habitat LGU facilitator, Ma'am Erica Aero, who spent 3 years in the city guiding and mentoring us in this very notable project. My partners here in the city of Tagum, isang matagumpay na pagbati sa inyong lahat. Tagumpay greetings. We in Tagum as a people and as a city are one in setting our journey towards the future. Tagum City positions itself towards fully maximizing our potential in the field of industrialization and agricultural modernization. We set at the economic corridor of Mindanao, which pumps our local economy to a thriving one. With the Davao Regional Development Council's recognition for Tagum as prime settlement and retirement area, we saw a sharp increase of migration that swelled our population. A city of more than 19,000 hectares, we made sure that development is carefully and meticulously planned to ensure that every inch of the city is well utilized. To prove our commitment to this mantra, we updated our comprehensive land use plan back in 2013, which details how we track the development path for our city in the years to come. Tagum's growth is unstoppable. We have already projected the future of Tagum by expanding our areas of growth away from our central business district and allowing other growth centers in strategic areas to flourish. Naming Tagum as third most competitive component city and most business-friendly local government unit in the Philippines, we experience a surge of investments, the byproduct of which is that many people make Tagum their area of habitation. In effect, more people are exposed to climate change-related threats in an urban setting. As such, we have heightened our local actions that are anchored on risk avoidance, preparedness, and capitalizing and improving on our urban systems and services. At the turn of the decade, the operative words in the issue of climate change have been adaptation and resiliency. Thus, it is imperative upon us to work on these guiding principles to start a ripple in our communities. This sets the premise of our Tagumpay City Walk project, a climate responsive urban greening project that sets premium on the following: the riverways and corridors upgrading, adaptive urban environment, park development, and water management to counteract the ill effects of climate change, particularly flooding and increasing urban temperatures, and to protect the vulnerable residents and enhance the local green economy in the area. To funding organizations who are with us in this virtual gathering, we are glad to present to you in granular detail this ambitious project that will surely have an impact to all our constituents. More than the aesthetics that will set Tagum at par with similarly designed green spaces in the Philippines. The project will result in secured livelihoods, sustainable mobility, reduced flooding, and increased health benefits. We are thankful to UN Habitat through this groundbreaking initiative for helping us in coming up with the nitty-gritty plan that is hands-on climate resiliency. As with other monumental projects, funding forms an important part in the realization of the Tagumpay City Walk. Estimates from our technical working group pegs this project to cost more than 732 million pesos, a staggering amount that represents more than half of our annual budget. The city government of Tagum welcomes partnerships with different organizations in the realization of this project, as it will truly have a long-lasting impact to our communities. Speaking in behalf of my fellow city officials, the political capital poured for this project is enormous. As a matter of fact, we have already commenced the facelift of our downtown area. Most especially and specifically, the rehabilitation of the Freedom Park that is poised to become an urban green belt at the heart of downtown Tagum. Thanks largely to the Department of Budget and Management for the nearly 15 million pesos funding for this project. Our long-term agenda on climate resiliency is enshrined in our local climate change adaptation plan. The realization of the Tagumpay City Walk is just part and parcel of our bold agenda in future-proofing our city from the real threats of climate change. Through the Tagumpay City Walk, we are looking forward to your much-needed monetary assistance for us to invest on urban systems and services. That includes provision of climate change adaptive infrastructure, technical capacity for our people for climate resilient road planning, among others, while maintaining and enhancing our natural environment that encompasses ridge to reef initiatives. I, for one, as Tagum's local chief executive, agree that this should be a concerted effort of everyone, from the academe, other government agencies, the civil society organizations, non-government organizations, and the community in general. As illustrated in our city's climate resiliency framework, a climate and disaster resilient Tagum City emanates from this singular thought. The convergence of everyone is crucial for effective local climate actions for the benefit of our environment, our economy, and ultimately, our people. Join and help us as we embark on this ambitious yet doable project. What Tagum will demonstrate through the Tagumpay City Walk is a solid testament that global problems require local actions. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat po at Tagum, Tagumpay.
Tagum Tagumpay. Thank you, Mayor Alan Relion, for walking us through the Tagumpay City Walk project. A very ambitious, but I think it's also doable project. For our virtual participants who are with us this afternoon, kindly use the question and answer function in your respective Zoom windows to key in your questions, and later in the program, I will be reading them one by one, and our panelists this afternoon will be ready to answer them. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, to give us a comprehensive pitch of what the Tagumpay City Walk is all about, I will now give the floor to our City Planning and Development Coordinator, Mr. Arturo Manigo Jr. Sir.
Thank you very much, Louis. Ladies and gentlemen, a Tagumpay afternoon to everyone. It is of great honor and pleasure to be here today on this very prestigious event, the Urban Resilient Investment Forum 2020, and present our urban adaptation project, the Tagumpay City Walk, the linear core development of our city's central business district. The Tagumpay City Walk project aims to address three key issues: rising temperature in the urban center, extreme flooding along and beside the waterways, and high carbon emission brought about by the increasing number of motorized vehicles, while adopting the best practices of a resilient, adaptive, and sustainable green city. This project demonstrates the development blueprint of the city government of Tagum through the Eagle Wings Development Trust, which puts the welfare of the people first, following the LGU's vision of Tagum 2025, a city of people, towards a sustainable, highly urbanized city focused on people, planet, and profit. Now, please lend us your attention to this presentation.
Many of you are wondering where Tagum City is, so let us welcome you in a royal entrance with our giant palm trees. Our various city activities created a vibrant, livable, and endearing community. We put the Tagumeños at the center of our growth. Our culture and sense of community are the gem of our city, with health, environment, and economy as our utmost priority. So where are we? We are just located at the center of Davao region. Given its geographic location in southern Mindanao, Tagum is the most strategic city and identified as the regional center. Its strong governance and people-centric environment draws the attention of businesses and investments. Following its regional vision and commitment, Tagum at its peak of urbanization within the last 5 years, we reached an 89% level of urbanization with a 1.33% of growth rate. This also manifested in our business establishment with its all-time high 10% increase and gained tractions of 50% employment. It's obvious that we are the most dense city in the whole region, with 1,325, double the size of its neighboring cities. 89% of population live in urban areas. 233,128 people sharing a space of 11,621 in urban areas, and 26,316 people sharing a space of 6,841 on the rural areas. Within the last 5 years, more barangays are now classified as urban. We believe that the future is here. As we urbanize and create new developments, our city aims to leave no one behind and ensure that growth is felt by our community, maintaining the social fabric of the city. We understand our social and economic role in the region, and for our city, we need to focus on our environment and prepare our city to be climate-proof. Through our partnership and help of the national agencies, our city incorporated latest climate data and adopted the CDRA, and we use the CBMS to update the profile in our demography. By doing so, we use climate information from the IPCC AR5 report with RCP 8.5 and Pag-asa. The projected temperature scenario of the city will be experiencing intense heat. From the broken red lines of baseline temperature, it will increase up to 1 degree Celsius. While rainfall patterns can read at least 153 more rainfall and 114 less rainfall, this affects depending on the season. We wanted to understand it deeply. We used the CIDRA diagnostic tool and linked it, for instance, to the urban system. Given that 89% of our people live in urban barangay with limited resources, we were able to prioritize our projects. We have learned that open spaces and institutional land uses are the most at risk, located in two most urban barangay of Poblacion and South, that are high risk to flooding with high severity of consequences, and the top barangays that are high risk to urban heat stress. We have different climate issues: the rising temperatures in urban barangay, extreme flooding near waterways, high carbon emission due to motorized vehicles, Through SIDRA and impact chain analysis, we were able to capture the local impacts of climate change present in Barangay Poblacion and South. The CBD experiences warmer temperature due to heat brought by the activities, absence of tree cover, thermal mass, and can put various stakeholders with mixed background and age brackets will be at risk. Buildings and cities are most constructed of concrete and other man-made materials. They have higher thermal capacity than the natural environment, and therefore store more heat during daytime. The heat stored will increase nighttime urban temperatures, especially if tall buildings block the urban areas' sky view and so limit release of the heat back to the atmosphere. Another key issue is extreme flooding. Despite anticipating lesser rain in the future, the city is naturally surrounded by two rivers where settlements are located along its tributaries. Extreme weather events that are presently experienced now, coupled with the two major rivers, place the urban barangays highly at risk to flooding. This can cause disruption of economic activities, spread of vector-borne disease, and expenses of rehabilitation. Next, high carbon emission due to motorized vehicles. Extreme events are not the solely concern of the city. 83% of our carbon emission is from transportation. We almost have 23,000 motorcycles, automobiles, and tricycles are concentrated in Magugpo, contribute to a lower air quality, hence warmer temperature. This worsens the health condition with a potential increase of respiratory and heart illness within the area. After which, we mainstreamed the SIDRA and developed a 10-year local climate action plan. This includes GHG gas inventory accounting for adaptation and mitigation co-benefits. It also followed an ecosystem approach, understanding the relationship and linkages of the coastal production and urban systems. Given our function as regional center, this plan will climate-proof our development and growth trajectory. Our 10-year risk management approach on flooding is a transition and preparedness towards the lesser rain in the future. We plotted spatially our LCCAP objectives to reflect the goals, areas and interventions we need to do following a citywide and ecosystem-based approach. To capture built-up environment, we established targets such as of increasing our non-concrete open spaces up to 50%, 100% increase of vegetation, 100% protection of the urban waterways, and protect all the ambulant vendors from heat stress. This leads us to identification of our Tagumpay City Walk, which will be the standards of our climate adaptive designs that can be replaced to other parts of the city. This is also aligned with our growth and spatial strategy of connectivity, accessibility, and mobility. Adhering to the strategy and objectives of our LCAP, the team decided to have the Tagumpay City Walk as the pilot demonstration site of the resilient urban design, which covers two of the top urban barangays at risk to urban heat stress and flooding. The proposed project site is located in Barangay Magugpo South and Magugpo Poblacion, including the Magugpo Creek and the Central Business District. The existing site has a reinforced concrete sewer line that traverses the area of Upper Magugpo Poblacion from the Rotary Park, passing to the Trade Center up to the area where Rizal Elementary School is located at Magugpo South. The waterway is a water network that connects the rural side of the Tagum, Libuganon, and Iho rivers, crossing the urban scape of the Magugpo barangays. The site covers 8 areas: Garciaville Park, residential area, and the start of the creek, Rizal Elementary School, Tagum Trade Center, Rotary Park, Open Creek, and Penro. The Tagumpay City Walk targets to increase the resilience of the 9,851 families, especially the elders, children, PWD, and women. We also intend to protect our local economy, including the 3,278 ambulant vendors giving life to our social fabric, and ensure that our institutional buildings and parks are flood and heat adaptive structures. Our goal. The main objective is to increase the climate resiliency of the exposed vulnerable group and the built environment from intense flooding, urban heat stress, and socioeconomics, brought by climate change through protecting and reviving the green and blue network and enhancing the built environment. We aim to activate the neglected open spaces to provide areas for social interaction, physical activities, and recreation. Reclaim our natural waters to prevent recurrences of disasters. Boost economic opportunities to have a sustainable and dynamic MSMEs in the CBD. Encourage active mobility through the network of open spaces, bike view paths, walkways. Implement green policy that supports the LCAP through better urban planning and design. Our strategy. With the introduction of blue-green solutions partnered with gray infrastructure interventions, the Tagumpay City Walk is envisioned to be at the forefront of climate action in the country. With these nature-based solutions, the city can contribute to wider goals for economic, social, and environmental sustainability. Our strategy is translated to convey roads and detention streets to minimize water runoff. Retain urban forest natural retention bases to store storm water. Protect the waterways and systems present along in it. Recycle changes of our buildings to be resource efficient. And absorb water and heat through the blue-green infrastructure, bringing back natural land cover. The strategies will be implemented on the following target sites within the Tagumpay City Walk that will cover relevant design elements such as landscapes and streetscapes, height and massing, urban green and facade and interface. From the business-as-usual parks, neglected waterways and street designs, this is now the Tagumpay City Walk towards a climate-resilient Tagum City, a transformation to a new Garciaville Tagumpay Park, Magugpo Creek Linear Park, Rizal Elementary School retrofitting and urban garden, Tagumpay Central Business District and Tagum Trade Center, Tagumpay Central Park, Magugpo Creek Linear Park, Penro Tagumpay Retention Basin and Urban Forest Park that will make our urban settlements climate resilient and ready for green recovery. Revival of Garciaville to an active park as a buffer zone, functional open space, access way, and temporary critical facility during disasters. We intend to retain floodwaters on site and minimize discharge volumes to protect the people living in the low-lying barangays receiving the water runoff from this site. From being an idle park with little activity, the revitalized Garciaville Active Park will be an integral buffer zone of the community from flooding, including the nearby barangays, through the use permeable and grass surfaces. It can be transformed into a mini forest park planted with native trees and turned in a multifunctional temporary evacuation center and neighborhood marketplace where people can practice physical distancing. Magugpo Linear Park aims to reinvent the usage of river tributaries to protect from stormwater, runoff, and erosion. During heavy rainfall, soil sediments block the creek flow, causing flooding. The introduction of terraced river edges allows heavy rains to soak into the soil and preventing erosions. The introduction of shaded travel, bikeway, and walking corridor adjacent to Magugpo Creek will not just maximize public access, but at the same time increasing vegetation towards a cooler and comfortable mobility. Rizal Elementary School will be a model for other institutional uses to retain and recycle the stormwater to support the urban garden. Dilapidated school building may now be utilized for neighborhood food sources. Retrofitting the building will enable us to reuse rainwater to be utilized for the urban garden, complemented by solar power for resource efficiency. future-proofing of the Tagum Trade Center will recycle buildings and facades, where buildings and facades will be retrofitted through smart blue blocks with resource efficiency and rainwater harvesting technology. The Tagum Trade Center is the busiest area in the whole city, where pavements and streets are made of hard concrete materials, leaving no green spaces, poor air ventilation, and humidity. It has also the highest emission concentration from day to night time that worsens air condition and can cause respiratory illness if not managed. We now aim to recycle the building using blue-green roof will impact the microclimate of the city with positive effects on water management, decreased heat stress, and better health condition and biodiversity. It will provide shade and remove heat from the air through evapotranspiration, reducing temperatures of the roof surface and the surrounding air. It also collects water for reuse. We will convey our roads through bike lanes and walkways fitting for our busy gastro center. Reclaiming spaces from the vehicles not just means lesser emission but also sufficient spaces for green recovery, creating opportunities for our MSMEs to operate despite the pandemic. The Tagumpay Central Park aims to be one of the biggest open spaces in the CBD. The application of recycling institutional buildings, development of green streets, and retention basins are expected to cool the climate and address rainfall. The strategies will be seen on the tennis court, volleyball court, including the walkways and streets that are made of solid and concrete materials. It will be transformed to increase of non-concrete open spaces, protected socio-civic buildings, and recreation facilities, and permeable green streets, walkways, and surfaces for water drain into the ground, preventing water to run off. It will also include better open spaces for kids and PWDs and vendors. The Tagumpay Urban Forest Park is a natural retention basin and remaining last green lung within the CBD. This particular site will maximize the natural retention capabilities to minimize water runoff. The integration of an open space at the western end of Magugpo Creek, where it joins Libuganon River, will act as a retarding basin to reduce velocity of floodwaters during flood events. This includes integrated drainage with bioswales, retention pond for flooding, while the enhancement on materials and landscape will promote cooler breeze. Project Resilient Benefits directly benefit the 9,851 population from a 1,440 cubic meter flood with LGU savings as much as 3 million annually. 2.39 of vegetation can give 1.44 degree warm temperature reduction. Additional 134.15 tons of carbon dioxide. Additional benefits: the active mobility and physical activities promoted, the public health valued, the easier access to services and facilities, especially IFS, conducive recreation area, electricity savings, increase in land value. The total project cost is 733 million. As you see, the implementation stage starts today. In this investment forum, as we eye partners who share the same vision of the Tagumpay City Walks. For project financing, we have an estimated of 30 million for appropriation prioritized in our AIP 2020. Out of the 30 million, 18.5 million has been funded by the DBM Green project and about 7.2 million approved from the local budget for fiscal year 2020. Almost all of our projects are done by administration, and the city has been practicing land banking for current and future projects. As of May 31st, 2019, the aggregate outstanding debt was 672 million, with annual amortization of 79 million. For the fiscal year 2020, the city has a net debt service ceiling of more than 175 million and a borrowing capacity of more than 1.6 billion. Based on the Department of Finance BLGF certification number R11 2020 09182. Despite having some financial aspects such as land value and rent income, Tagumpay City Walk is a climate-related one focused on economic and resilience benefits. With that, we are looking at fund sources that value the same, such as the People Survival Fund, Green Climate Fund, and other partners that are willing to work on climate benefits as well. This is our institutional management, where relevant offices take lead in the planning, implementation, and monitoring. Why invest with us? And why now?
Why invest in Tagum City and why now? With all the hazards threatening the health and well-being of residents, as well as urban economies and infrastructural systems brought about by climate change, as well as the great risks we are facing with the COVID-19 pandemic, there is an immense need for a sense of urgency in doing things. Climate change is already upon us, compounded with the dreaded pandemic, and we're already seeing its unimaginable negative effects to human lives, livelihood, and the natural landscape. In the light of these twin challenges, we at the local government unit is focusing on increasing the resiliency and reducing vulnerability and risk of the city's natural resources and community, particularly the marginalized sectors. The Tagumpay City Walk has a built-in mechanism that shall address the negative impacts of climate change and the COVID-19 pandemic. Presently, our city are implementing all locally funded projects, infrastructure projects at that, both horizontal and vertical structures by administration, foremost of which are the construction of our new city hall, our city and barangay roads and drainage, and the construction of school buildings, to name a few, resulting to cost efficiencies and enhancing the local economic activities. Much is still to be done, though, especially with the challenges brought about by the climate change and the pandemic. But with your most valuable presence as partners, mentors, and enablers, we know that we are not alone in taking actions and shall leave no one behind. Now, today is the perfect time to invest in our city and be part of the transformational process through a scientific, sustainable, doable, and life-changing holistic approach. Thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you on the ground.
Thank you. That was our City Planning and Development Coordinator, Mr. Sani Manigo, who have just elucidated to us why is now the perfect time to invest in the city of Tagum. You have just seen the presentation of the Tagumpay City Walk project, and I, for one, I should say, I think I speak for everybody that I am very excited about this monumental project, especially that the city, especially our central business district, will now be more walkable. Now, one of the questions that were sent to us via the Q&A function of this virtual forum is that they're very impressed with the presentation because we have shown that Tagum is very vibrant. The question is, how will the project affect the existing character of the site? And if I may add, Mayor Alan, I know you're all poised to answer this question. How will we ensure that the community will support this project?
Well, I know we started when Tagum had been one of the 10 as guided by the League of Cities of the Philippines to be guided or by the UN Habitat. And so I created a task force, the architect, engineering, and the rest, to do a study, where we will project Tagum. And it turned out that the heart of the city, the result is poor, if not moderate. In other words, what we have, the existing situation in the inner circle or the Magugpo poblacion, where that's actually the center of convergence of people, businesses, transportation being it's really in the heart, in the crossroads. And so we started talking about how we can enhance the image of the heart of the city. And so we started coming up with a project, mababa lang yun 5 million, hindi lang na fundingan. But of course, I said we have to push through that even with the limited budget we have, phase by phase. So we come up with the thinking of, kasi yung ating, meron tayong enhanced na visioning of the city. That it will be a city of people, highly urbanized city. That's our new description of what we wanted to see onward. No? And so, if we talk about city of people, yun bang people of all walks of life, the elderly, the PWD, the children, the family with the children, and our visitors, even foreigners, because we have a lot of expats in the city, where iba-iba ang kanilang gusto sa isang lugar. Some would like in early morning, they can jog at a very near, accessible place, not to go far away. So they can. Some would like to do cycling, bicycle, and some would like to going to church. They can just walk and go to the fast food chain and go to the kung ano yung mga parks and playground. So these things can be done in the heart of the city. That's why we started talking about our existing parks. In fact, the Rotary Park, talagang bagsak yun. No? Parang in other words, the perception of the people, wala yan, parang walang value. Because we have a park, but may kulang. So that needs enhancement, that needs really a good architectural or paano yung design na acceptable and indeed, very timely yung UN Habitat na kailangan may focus on reduce ang heat niya and oxygen that can be inhaled, yung freshness of the ano, and then the aesthetic view and accessibility. So we started thinking about that, and we're so happy that nasama po tayo and we come up with this project na our focus would now be yung tinatawag natin na city Tagumpay Circle, Tagumpay City Circle, which the first 500 meters radius, we have to improve that. And so these projects that we have identified, I would say that this will really address the needs of the people whom we interviewed, we conducted a study. And hopefully, like for example, yung ating, if you look at the area, the location, parang naka eagle wings yun na design. And so we can see now that pasado yan sa kanila that they can do shortcut in going to another place but not riding pedicab or any vehicle. For example, at the heart of the city, dadaan sila sa mga major thoroughfares na ang sidewalks niya na maganda ng maraanan and with the flowering plants, and they can cross the street, and then magagamit yung ating Magugpo Creek na maganda siya. And in effect, more and more people will go out from their home, and instead of spending time outside sa malayong lugar, dito na lang sila. Sa umaga, doon na sila magja-jogging. And after jogging, they can find easily within the makikita lang nila na fast food, and then they can go to the market na maglalakad lang. They can do shortcut by not riding a car. So that's actually some concepts that I shared to the technical working group. And as I said, we started initially with our own a little funding, and thanks to DBM for putting a budget for our Freedom Park and other government facilities like the Trade Center that will be transformed into a more accessible, more convenient, magandang facility that we can even compete to private na mga malls. So people would come there. So that's the reason why pag sinabi natin city of people starts from the center, anything that they like, it's there inside. So that would somehow change the image, the character of that heart of the city of Tagum, as a vibrant and alive city within the city. So that's the Tagumpay Walk project that we conceptualized. We hope may tulong yan na maibahagi as what we initially started in the city.
All right, and I'm pretty sure that the community will be fully supporting this project because aside from improving the urban aesthetics of the Central Business District of Tagum, particularly along the Mugpuk Creek side, it will also improve their way of living because sabi nga ni Mayor Alan kanina, maraming mga benefits na makukuha ang project na ito. Sir Sunny, my next question is addressed to you. Why did we choose the Magugpuk Creek as our site for this project when we know for a fact that other tributaries of the Tagum River, Libuganan River are also contributing to the annual flooding here in the city? Why did you particularly choose the Magugpuk Creek as our project for the Tagumpay City Walk?
Okay, thank you, Louis. Before I answer directly your question, let me focus on those big rivers. No, these rivers, Iho River and the Tagum Libuganon River, emanates from other regions, from other areas. So the national government, together the regional government and the local government, provincial government, has already identified ways and means to address these issues. We have a short, medium, and long-term plan for this to rehabilitate, to construct flood control projects and others. No, and in fact, the Asian Development Bank is already participating in this major endeavor, including the academe, so that they'll be looking at the environmental and social concerns. Now, why we chose the Bagugpuk Creek? Because there are parameters that were set. For example, during our several sessions with the technical group and our consultants from UN Habitat, like for example, on the urban island heat effect. No, that's number one. So that's concentrated in the central business district, and it compounded the problem with, of course, pollution and the greenhouse gases effect that will be affecting the people, especially so that there are lots of businesses and people converging in that particular area. So together with the technical working group and of course the other parameters that set, the number one is the urban island heat effect, and of course the GHG and the flooding that's as you can see almost yearly in that particular area. The group unanimously decided to choose that Magugpo Creek and then identify the Tagumpay City Walk, since that is the linear core of our central business district of Tagum City.
And one thing that also good to point out is that it will also reduce the urban flooding in that area. So I would like to address my next question to Ma'am Sharon Alvarado of the CDRMO. How do you think will this project help your office, especially in addressing the threats of flooding that will surely affect the residents living near the area, ma'am?
Of course, during heavy downpour of rain, urban flooding is expected because a drainage system in the area cannot accommodate the water that is pouring in the area. So definitely, if this will be implemented, preemptive evacuation can be avoided. And of course, during evacuation, if people are in the same area, uh, waterborne diseases are very common. So most likely, of course, it will lessen the times that we have to evacuate people, and we have to they will definitely the evacuation process will be eliminated if the project will be imposed or
Very well
implemented.
said, Ma'am Sharon. Based on the discussion, I just realized that the Tagumpay City Walk project is actually setting the balance between urban aesthetics and practicality in terms of addressing climate change issues. This is a very nice project, partnership with the UN Habitat. I'd like to ask Architect Maymay, in the course of the 3-year implementation of this very impressive project partnership with UN Habitat, what did we learn from this process that we can share with other local government units?
Okay, thank you, Louis. The design process took 3 years, so it is very vital to share. We are the technical working group, or the city is very happy to share that the project was based on data. It was science. It was science based on research talaga. So it is very vital. All of the designs were derived from the um, the the process of the design process. So some of these, so meaning the what we can share with other LGUs is that they should have a established LCCAP, so a 10-year plan, action plan for the city. So for example, we can share that based on the research that we can share that we can introduce some convey roads, no, and some our blue roof designed in our buildings, as well as with our introduction of our urban green parks. Thank you.
Thank you, Architect Maymay. Before I proceed to the panel reactor, I'd like to ask one more question to Mayor Alan Relion. In your presentation, you've mentioned that this project will cost us around 732 million pesos. How do you think, given the staggering amount involved in this project, paano makakatulong ang private sector, especially those who are watching this virtual presentation? And what is also the political commitment from the city government in realizing this project?
Well, it's really a big help, no? Because as I mentioned earlier, that when we started, following our vision and developments in Tagums are now expanding towards the countryside, almost forgotten na yung nasa sintro. So we would like to go back and yun na nga, when we transfer the city hall here in Barangay Apocon, I want to revive, no, the life there where when the city hall is there. So in fact, it should be more, no, in terms of accessibility, in terms of likes of the people, that they will still go to the center, and business establishment will continue to improve, enhance, upgrade their facility, so people can just go there because it's actually the most accessible place, no, from north, south, east, and west. So it's a big amount of money that needed to complete the entire project. But miles of journey begins in a single step. So we initially started that with I mentioned. We're so blessed that we are part of this funding from DBM. So we are able to transform the park at the heart, which is the Freedom Park. So as you can see now, it's really a semblance of balancing climate change adaptation and flowering trees and walkways. So we have that already. We started that, and we have to expand that. That's why these identified projects with specific costing, if you talk about 1 million, 2 million, 10 million, the LGU can do that. But if you talk about, additional digits of that, so kung papasa ito, we would be very happy to whatever terms of reference, terms kung ano yung maitulong nila. But we are really, on the political side, we are really focused in really realizing these projects. Mahirap pang sabihin na kahit walang funding, but we have really to move on, and we know may mga tulong na darating. So ito madali lang ito because the lot, the areas are all government owned property. So walang problema po sa mga landowner because it's just a matter of the existing creeks, the existing walkways, the existing passageways that we wanted na ma-improve siya, no? Para bang through the architectural engineering design, maganda na yung kanyang pathway, the sidings with the ornamental and with all those, no, na pwede nating gawin. And so I know private sectors can be of help, no. In fact, when I mentioned about the existing major thoroughfares, the sidewalks, those buildings and businesses on the side should have to think and to be part of this changing the image, no? Pagandahin by repainting or improving their building, which they started already. As you can see now, in the heart, there are even other groups na itong fence, yung mural. So mural could be one come on that people would come there to have selfie, and so it's really to magnetize the term we have. No, yung they will come because there are things that very interesting in the heart of the city. So with this opportunity now that we are part of this, the funder would be funder, that we are able to showcase, we are open to any partnership. But mine here is we have, it's not waiting for 10 years from now. No, I'm we chief executives are in a hurry, but we would like to be guided also kung ano yung proper, ano yung tama. So we started initially, and we hope in a year-to-year basis we can have a major developments of this project that we have. We spent 3 years to really come up and develop. Tama yung sinabi ni architect. This is science-based, database, research-based with the technical people really converged to workshop after workshop. And I know this is acceptable by the people. Even when we started to showcase to them some pictures, Tagomeños are really excited to see. Right now, even in the COVID-19 crisis, there are a few of them do jogging and bicycle. No, how much if we already in place all of these things? We can see not only early morning, but even in the afternoon. Just like in other developed countries and cities, I've been there. Now, even in the afternoon, people are going out in the hotel, in the houses, and do physical activities. This is what we would like to see the city of Tagum. That is vibrancy. And I know it's not only people availing of the accessibility, the parks, but business establishment. Yung small business siguro, mag-iisip na yon na paano niya pagandahin, palakihin yung kanyang mini hotel or yung restaurant. And so I would say it's really a combination, holistic, and we believe that as we started, no, people are excited. There is always acceptance and support from the community itself.
All right, thank you, Mayor Alan El Leon, and I'll get back to all of you later. There are lots of questions that are flashed on the screen, but before that, before we're going to entertain all of those questions, we have sought the reaction from the Executive Director of the Interfacing Development Intervention for Sustainability for her reaction about our very impressive Tagumpay City Walk project. Here now is Executive Director Ms. Chinky Pelenio Golye.
In behalf of the Interfacing Development Interventions for Sustainability, a Davao City-based environmental non-government organization that is operating in South Central Mindanao, I would like to commend the city government of Tagum for coming up with this Tagum City Adaptation Strategy, which aims to address both the development pathway and climate change concerns being faced by the city. This is a very welcome development given the massive urbanization happening in the Philippines as well as the increasing impacts of climate change. We at IDIS or EDs has been advocating for the urban livability, development of sustainable communities, and maintenance of local ecological balance. And we always question the LGUs on how do they move forward in consideration of these three: urban livability, sustainable communities, and balanced ecology. Although, we also recognize that there is no single solution for solving the global climate change. However, we believe that cities like Tagum have the ability, capacity, and will to lead in responding appropriately. May I also say that the Tagum City Local Climate Change Action Plan, which provides for the various climate adaptation strategies such as strengthening local green economy, harvesting rainwater, redesigning river and creek side corridor, improving drainage design to manage floods, sustainable transportation or urban mobility, and expanding the public open green spaces. These are some of the important advocacies of EDs in pushing for sustainable and livable cities. And I am happy that Tagum have also included this in the local climate change action plan. And somehow we are happy that the LGU have adopted these advocacies. Also, the proposed Tagum City Walk project as the first installment of a climate change adaptation design project is really commendable. The urban and rural continuum, which focuses on riverways and corridors, updating adaptive urban environment, park development, and water management with the aim to protect the vulnerable residents are much needed actions and solutions to address the ill effects of climate change as well as in ensuring the people's safety. If we may add, as an organization, we would like to encourage the city government of Tagum to continue the proactive planning, budget appropriation, and implementation of this kind of projects. We understand that there are various sources of funds from the national and international agencies. At the same time, there are also private sectors who are willing to partner with the city. But we really hope that the city of Tagum will ensure that in its annual investment plan and in its annual investment fund, there will always be a budget appropriation for parks development and so on. Uh, and we also encourage the city government, although we also know that they've been doing this already, to really make sure the use of native and endemic tree and plant species. We have to be proud of our local flora and fauna, and then we should use it. We should use it in doing the green projects, and of course to ensure that of course there are a lot of possible infrastructure projects, but we also really encourage the local government units to also use the bioengineering technologies, and of course the use of the plants and the trees in or incorporating it in all the projects of the city. Um, Lastly, of course, we encourage the city government of Tagum to ensure public participation in all aspects of project development and planning, particularly in the actual implementation.
Thank you. That was the Executive Director of the Interfacing Development Intervention for Sustainability, Ma'am Chinky Pileño Golyo. You're still watching the pocket session of Tagum City Local Government in this Urban Resilience Forum of UN Habitat Philippines. We are still joined by our panelists from the Local Government Unit's Technical Working Group headed by Mayor Alan Relion. Earlier, we had a very fruitful discussion, but we have one question coming from Romblon State University, specifically from Engineer Ray Ramos, because we have noticed that the Tagumpay City Walk project is composed of different linear projects along the Magugpo Creek site. His question is that, is there a prioritization in terms of the availability of funding, considering that there is a needed amount of around 732 million pesos? And how many that this project will be realized? What makes this project attractive to local investors? I think Sir Sunny Manigo will answer this question.
Okay,
Sir?
thank you, Louis. Regarding the question of Engineer Ray Ramos, a few we have seen already. It is about 8 components. No, Tagumpay City Walk has 8 components, and the mayor's already stated that the DBM has already downloaded to us the 2020 Green project, which will finance the Tagumpay Park. No, the Tagumpay Park. This is one of the components of the Tagumpay City Circle. Now, all of the components are important because this is a comprehensive and integrated approach of the city. We'll just be talking with the potential investors on what will be their participation in the components. But as our technical working group, of course, with the guidance of the mayor, these are all important. As I've said, this is a comprehensive, integrated approach so that we can always sustain the growth and development of the city.
Thank you, Sir Sunny. But realistically speaking, it will take a long time before this will be realized. How many years will this be materialized, in your honest point of view, sir? Given that, considering or assuming that we have the funding already from our potential investors?
Well, we can do it about in 3 years' time. No, the most important thing is on the center, which is the central business district, the trade center, because there is the businesses, our businessmen, people converge in that area, and it's a showcase. Now, what is it for the potential investors? Of course, because that will be part of their corporate social responsibility in drawing up a sustainable and sustainable city such as Tagum City towards a highly urbanized city, but still on its focus is on its environment and the livability for its people.
Thank you, sir. Good thing that Sir Sunny mentioned the business sector, because along the central business district, they will be heavily, how will I say this, heavily affected by the changes in design. And one question that we have from our virtual participants, specifically from Mr. DJ Clario, is that he's very concerned about multi-sector collaboration, and how are we going to engage them towards realizing this project? Maybe we can ask this question to Mayor Alan De Leon. And most importantly, Mayor, if we have the multi-sector collaboration, how will we ensure that sustainable yung partnership na yan with the LGU and the private sector?
Actually, it's not a problem anymore in the city because all our special bodies, almost 50-50, because we are part of this open government. Like for example, our City Development Council, that more and more private sectors are in the expanded membership. So we can make use of that special body in a regular basis of in the meeting, in the updates, in the presentation of the plans, and in that council there is subcommittee, no, on infra. So in the city we have civil society organizations where we have more than 300 of them. So many of them are already, as I mentioned, in the special bodies. And all of these plans, in fact, even concepts pa lang, in our quarterly or monthly meeting, they knew already. In my State of the City address, I already mentioned about way onward for the city of Tagum. And some of these are also presented. And lalong-lalo na sa ating ika-third na business forum. No? So in the city of Tagum, civil society organization, the business sector, even the religious sector, the youth, the elderly, apart from the governmental agencies and offices, they are actually part and so engaged in all aspects of governance in the locality. So it's easy for us to engage them, and especially if we focus in this specific project, the Tagumpay City Walk, no, Tagumpay City Walk project. It's, as I said, it's not a problem. Some have already manifested their also counterpart. For example, in that Rotary Park or Tagumpay Park now, there is a group of business circle in the city that they want to put in place. For example, the Rotary Club, they want a part of that bigger park, merong area that they will be the one to yung sa mga children's playground, and they want to put a little museum. So these are manifestations in the past. We will explore this, and as we move, we journey with this project, as mentioned by Sunny, na 3 years time or 3 to 5 years. We know, hindi naman madali kung sa government, no? But at least we set a timeline so that we can put strengths and other mga innovativeness na mo strategies how we can make these things be realized in the city of Tagum.
Thank you, Mayor. I, for one, is very impressed by the plan, and I think I speak for all Tagumeños that we are all very excited for this to be materialized. I have one more question to Architect Maymay. This is a very impressive project. This will actually change the image of our central business district. How will this positively affect the Tagumeños in general? Not only those living in that central business district where this project will be concentrated, but for the whole city in general. I'm talking about those living in the rural areas that are far away from the proposed Tagumpay City Walk project.
Okay, thank you, Louis. As presented, the Tagumpay City Walk is composed of several parks, and the reclaim, hello, that the development along the creeks. So definitely parks are considered as the living room of the city. So definitely it will enhance the vibrancy of the city. The people of all ages will come together, will converge on those parks. So it will really improve the vibrancy of the city. Like the character, like we have to activate the all of the parks as mentioned in the project. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor, in terms of tourism, what will be the impact of this project?
Yeah, our direction as focus also on tourism. That these 8 projects would be part now of the directory locators in the locators map, and maybe we can say if this will be in place, say in 5 minutes time you can be in one place and to the other place by just walking. And so this would give interest to the public even outside the city that they wanted this kind of activity. It's there in the heart of the city. So malaking tulong ito sa ating our campaign. Really, the Tagum is one of the tourist destination in as far as urban development, in as far as the complete package of environment, business, people. The center is already a manifestation that 190 million Tagum City Cultural Historical Center, where we have that government public or public library, maybe the biggest in this region, in this area. We have the museum, we have the theater, and alongside with that, they can go to our improved central business district, the Tagum Cultural Trade Center, where all the souvenir items and there are also the pavilion inside. And those family who would like to go to in the Garciaville, that concept is actually designed yung sa Netherlands, di ba, na pag baha and pag mag-subsides, and that could be used as parang an area, a park nga. And yung passing the river crossing to the another barangay. So if they will take a ride, it will take them about maybe 20 minutes. Puro mag-walks lang sila, it will take them 5 minutes. They will be in another subdivision in the capital. So these are things that probably an itinerary. For example, I told them na we'll have just like in Singapore or in other countries, no, na nasa hotel ka, may mga brochure, daytime tour. So you have all of this destination, whole day, all night. So that would be now in the map of the tourist destination in the city of Tagum. This beautiful and a semblance of talagang gawa through data, through research, through science, and with the expert and a good architectural and engineering design combined with the environment, climate change adaptation. So ito yung magiging even for studies, no, even for family who would go around at the heart of the city, or even the nearby cities who would come and name it, no, they have, no, and hopefully tapos na itong COVID-19 kasi itong sinasabi ko, this would take about people can mingle each other face to face. But even in this new normal, I think this design is also adaptable to this kind of new normal that we are having.
Thank you, Mayor. And on that note, I'd like to point out that the Tagumpay City Walk project is indeed like hitting many birds with just one stone. And for that, congratulations. And we would like to thank all our virtual participants who have sent their questions to us. And we're very happy that our panelists have responded to all of them. In the interest of time, I think we don't have enough time. I think Sir Sani have one more thing to add before we wrap up this pocket session.
Yeah, thank you very much, Louis. We'd like to mention the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, formerly the HLURB, for their help in the formulation of our comprehensive land use plan and climate disaster risk assessment. And of course, in behalf of the mayor, we'd like to thank our partner national agencies, the DSUD, as I said, the Department of Interior and Local Government, Climate Change Commission, and the League of Cities of the Philippines.
Thank you for that quick note, Sir Sani. On behalf of the city government of Tagum, we would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to all of those mentioned national agencies who have extended their hand in making the Tagumpay City Walk designed and hopefully be materialized in the near future. And I think we also need to thank the UN Habitat Philippines for this very impressive project. And I know the last 3 years was very taxing on the part of the technical working group, but the result is very impressive. And we are looking forward that this will be a reality in the near future. We are running out of time, so we will end this pocket session with wrap-up statements from our panelists, starting with Ma'am Sharon Alvarado of the City Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office.
A great deal of work lies ahead of us, and we have moved the climate change up to the top of the agenda. So we hope you, all the investors, all the participants who are interested, join us, join our city in our fight to combat climate change and its impact.
Thank you, Ma'am Sharon. May we also hear from our city architect, Architect Maymay, please.
Yes, we're very excited for this project. So we're able to, we are thankful for this event, for this platform, so we can showcase our the Tagumpay City Walk project. So we can showcase our urban designs and for the climate resiliency of our city. So we're hoping for our future investors to invest in our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Architect Maymay. I know you are one of the very few people who are very happy that we have finally come to the end of this 3-year process. Sir Sani, what say you, Sir Sani?
Yeah, after all those presentations, short lang, help us make this happen. Thank you.
Because as what Mayor Alan said, we cannot do this alone. Mayor Alan, your last appeal to the investors watching us in this Urban Resilience Forum. We need a lot, 732 million pesos. So now is your time to finally pitch that amount and for them to support our project.
Well, maraming kasabihan yan na pwede nating i-pray no, na it will again happen. No? Pagka gusto, maraming paraan, di ba? Para sa mga tao. And sa sinabi ko kanina, these are small steps. Ang journey natin mahaba pa. And if it will not be our time, what is important, we started. No? Nagsimula po tayo. Una siguro, I would like to thank our League of Cities of the Philippines for really naipasama po ang Tagum City. In Mindanao, dalawa lang po kami, Cagayan de Oro City and Tagum City. So those in the northern part and in the southern part of Mindanao. And being the UN Habitat Philippines for providing an expertise and guiding us. And I'm very happy also and highly commendable with these very passionate and brilliant people who work, yung mga masasabi natin at the backstage, no, the group of Sani Manila and the rest, no, for making this project put in place and ready to be presented to the world, no. And sa lahat po ng mga agencies and partners, and of course sa aming would-be funders, no, sana po maisama po ninyo sa pag-uusap in your discussion in your entity that here a small city man but a city that has really that strong direction, no, in guided with our Eagle Wings Developmental Trust and our vision for a city of people, highly urbanized city. Invest na po at fund na po, ano. We will make sure that things will happen. And so I would say today, it's already tagumpay for the city of Tagum. It's already a victory that we are able to present ourselves and share to you and project you right in our heart that this development is not only for the city of Tagum, for the people of Tagum, but for the entire country and the world, as we are one in our commitment to be active part of this climate change adaptability and as being resilient as we are. Maraming salamat muli, and I say Tagum Tagumpay again.
Tagum Tagumpay, that was Mayor Alan Rellion of the city of Tagum for that very amazing appeal to the investors. Help us, I would like to echo what Mayor Alan Rellion said, help us in realizing the Tagumpay City Walk project. Before I wrap up this pocket session, I would like to read one more comment coming from the Undersecretary of the Department of Finance, Ma'am Paula Alvarez. She said, "Congratulations, City of Tagum and Mayor Leon. You make us Tagumeños very proud." Do you have a response to
Yeah,
that,
quick
sir?
response, Attorney. Maraming salamat din po. At in fact, your sisters is part with us and we will do our best. You are already part of the City of Tagum. Sa lahat po na ninatulong mo ng inyong agency, maraming salamat. More power po kayo.
Thank you, Mayor Alan, and thank you, Attorney Alvarez, for that very sweet message to your fellow Tagumeños. And on that note, I would like to thank all our panelists, Mayor Leon, Sir Sunny, Architect Maymay, and Ma'am Sharon for your time to be with us this afternoon. That was a very fruitful and meaty discussion. We want to thank all of you for sharing your thoughts, your wisdom, and how we intend to make Tagum climate resilient through urban plans and designs. To our virtual participants, thank you for staying with us. And I would like to echo the appeal of Mayor Alan Rellion. We cannot do this alone. Our contact details are flashed on the screen to all our possible investors. You may contact us through the City Planning and Development Office. The numbers are flashed on your screen, and we are looking forward for a possible collaboration with you in the near future to make the Tagumpay City Walk a reality. Together, again, this is Louis Lapat. I think that will do it for us on this Thursday afternoon. I'm your moderator, Louis Lapat of the City Information Office. And I say, together, let's make Tagum Tagumpay a reality.